limb here, we're gonna wrap up the Forgotten City. Hopefully, we have done endings 1 through 3, and we're about to do ending 4. So let's do it. Yeah, I really enjoyed this game as a whole. Like, it's still not a game that, like, again, it's not a top game of the year for me or anything, but it's still a really strong game. I did really. Okay. Let's make a backup save. I'm an idiot. I deleted the wrong one, but whatever, it's fine. Oh, was this supposed to be a puzzle thing? Or something? This is Egyptian, right? Oh, I didn't realize that first one was... Okay, so it was supposed to be a puzzle all along. It's just I'm a fucking idiot. Okay. Yeah. This is Sumerian. Whoa. Okay.
And here you are. Allow me to introduce myself. As you have already gathered, I've been known by many names. Nergal to the Sumerians, Osiris to the Egyptians, Hades to the Greeks, and Pluto to the Romans. But the one constant through it all has been my title, God of the Underworld. And I've been watching you with curiosity, mortal, ever since your arrival. You're unlike the others, aren't you? And what is more, you carry a weapon that was never intended for mortals to wield, and you do it so brazenly. But there will be time for your reckoning later. First, as a reward for undoing the desecration of my obelisk, I will allow you to satisfy your curiosity. Ask what you will. My story is many thousands of years long. You will need to be more specific. What do you wish to know? It is a matter of perspective. God is a label I was given by you mortals, not one I gave myself. Your ancestors revered me because to them, my knowledge and technology made me incomprehensibly powerful, just as you might seem so to an insect. But despite all that, there are rules even I must obey. My kin and I all adopted this form long ago, so that we might better understand and communicate with your kind. In time, we grew fond of the sensory delights it affords. Desire, joy, ecstasy, even rage and sorrow, while an acquired taste can be addictive. No. Long ago, I swore to Persephone that I would remain in this form for as long as we remained among your kind. I must honor that. This is my beloved. Like me, she has been known by many names. Ereshkigal to the Sumerians, Isis to the Egyptians, Persephone to the Greeks, and Proserpina to the Romans. Or perhaps you might know her as the goddess of springtime, the cycle of life and renewal.
Oh.
Your gaze lingers too long.
So she's trying to help us?
That is my servant. You would have met by the river. though she wears many faces and goes by many names. Kumutubal to the Sumerians, Kirti to the Egyptians, Charon to the Greeks, and Charon to the Romans. Her role is to ferry souls between the mortal world and this one, and to make their transition as seamless as possible. For that, she earned herself the infamous, if erroneous, moniker, the Ferryman. You will talk more later. For now, ask your questions. As you wish. It has come to be known simply as the Underworld, and it exists because of a wager I made long ago. That is a long story, one that began over 3,000 years ago and continues to this day. You see, long ago, my kin and I set out from our home on Elysium to search for other forms of life among the stars. We discovered your planet and witnessed your kind evolving from primates into something lawless and barbaric. You all but destroyed yourselves, your 2 short lives being extinguished by violence and ignorance and disease. Yet Proserpina saw raw potential in you, and persuaded the rest of us it would be squandered without our intervention and stewardship. So we revealed ourselves to your people in a place called Sumer. We offered guidance in agriculture, toolcraft, and law, and you called us gods. For a time you flourished, but soon you were too many for us to oversee. And as you spread from that cradle of civilization, we saw something disturbing. We had sown the seeds of dependency and confusion, and soon you returned to your old ways of violence and ignorance, this time in our name. My kin had seen enough, and gave up on your kind, condemning you as barbaric and chaotic, scarcely more than animals. We began preparations to return to Elysium, our home world, a utopia unspoilt by conflict and unimaginable in its beauty. But my Proserpina could not bear to abandon your kind without guidance, and knowing it would force the rest of us to leave her behind, she made an extraordinary sacrifice. She gave up her immortality to descend permanently to the ranks of humankind. And so she began her inescapable trajectory toward death. Horrified, I acted swiftly.
Well, this really
I
goes
placed
on
her
for
in
a while, doesn't
suspended
it? Goddamn.
animation in a deep frozen sleep to prevent age and sickness from claiming her. And then I pleaded with Proserpina's father, who the Romans called Jupiter, to bring her with us to Elysium. It was and is my hope that once there, we might one day learn to undo what she has done to herself. But he refused. I did everything I could to persuade him, but he would not relent. He would rigidly uphold his final pronouncement. Humans were unworthy of ascension to Elysium, and no exceptions would be made. But seeing that I was aggrieved, he proposed a wager, the terms of which were as follows. If even one human city could prove itself capable of living without sin for a single year, then Proserpina and all of humanity would be permitted to join us in Elysium. My part would be to remain behind, the last of my kind, to watch over you without interfering, and to sit in silent judgment. And so my reward has been to languish here, enduring a 3,000-year winter, waiting for the day your kind proves itself worthy of her faith in you, so that I might take her with me to Elysium and unthaw my goddess of springtime. And here I am, after all this time, still waiting. There were also gods who, like me, have been known by many names, but perhaps you knew them by their Roman names. Our leader, Jupiter, as well as Neptune, Saturn, Juno, Minerva, Mars, Venus, Apollo, Diana, Vulcan, Vesta, Ceres, and of course, my beloved Proserpina. As the first wave of your kind arrived from Sumer, I had them build a city in their own fashion, so that they might be comfortable and recreate their lives here. I had them build the entrance as a vertical shaft leading to baths to cleanse them of the sins of their former lives and to prevent escape. I watched wave after wave of Sumerians arrive, and as their civilization declined over the centuries, they were replaced by Egyptians. Of course, believing themselves to be the superior civilization, the Egyptians promptly built over what had been built before, and made all the same mistakes. After another 1,000 years, the Greeks began to arrive, and then the Romans, and they all did the same thing. They built upon the underworlds of their predecessors, renamed their gods, and ensured their foundations were forgotten. To ensure the wager was fair, it was important that my subjects were chosen at random. To this end, I had my servant distribute 1,000 tokens fashioned from silver, a rare element at the time, across all of Sumer. Whoever died while in possession of one of them would be located by my servant and ferried to this place, with no memory of how they arrived. As the tokens were discovered, they were traded, smelted, and fashioned into trinkets, and eventually coins, spreading to Egypt like seeds on the wind. Later, when they spread to Greece, they would come to be known as Charon's obol, or as coins for the ferryman. Some placed coins in the mouths of their dead, hoping they would awaken here, though they had no way of knowing which coins were fashioned from the original tokens. In fact, almost all of the tokens are accounted for, only 2 remain. And so after this wave destroys itself, as it is destined to do, your kind will have squandered the last of its potential to ascend beyond this rock, and Persepolis along with it. It is a regrettable story. One of the first men who came to this place was a king of Sumer, and a troublemaker. To be rid of him, I returned him to his people, on the condition that my servant erased his memories of this place. But the erasure did not take completely, and he told stories of this place as if describing memories of a dream. His tales were committed to writing, which came to be known as the Epic of Gilgamesh, and his words were twisted.
This is going on forever. God damn. What the fuck?
Later, the Egyptians would adapt Sumer's stories of the underworld, making them wildly intricate and labyrinthine. Their Book of the Dead and Book of Gates bore less and less resemblance to this place, in their priests' pursuit of profit. Then, when the Greeks began to arrive, they proved far more cunning. And in a series of incidents that will not be repeated, 5 of them escaped. A warrior named Heracles, 2 kings named Sisyphus and Theseus, a poet named Orpheus, and a Trojan named Aeneas. They each told embellished tales of this place, how to get here, and how to escape. And so from Sumer to Egypt, Greece to Rome, your kind has always told each other stories about this place, though each story contained only a seed of truth. Of course.
So I guess
that is merely the name your people have given to it, but yes, it is my doing. That is a story dating back to the very first wave. After the Sumerians finished building their city, the self-declared ruler threw a banquet to celebrate. Now this man was unmarried, and many women were vying to become his wife, a prestigious position of power and influence in a new world. Of all the women, 2 were particularly ambitious. Both were beautiful, and both arrived at the banquet wearing eye-catching dresses and painted faces, their hair woven in elaborate fashion. The first woman, recognizing that she would require an advantage to win the ruler's affection, draped herself in jewelry, ornate necklaces, bracelets, and rings fashioned from gold. Seeing this ostentatious display, the second woman grew envious, for she had no such jewelry at her disposal. She prayed aloud to any gods that would listen, to cover her in gold. And when her prayer went unanswered, she took matters into her own hands. While the others indulged at the banquet, the second woman summoned the first for a discussion in a quiet place. She checked that nobody was watching and pushed her rival from the top of the ziggurat where she broke her neck on the rocks below. But I was watching, and I decided to answer her prayer. I took the golden bow left behind by Diana, and I shot that woman in the heart, covering her from head to toe in a layer of molten gold. And I left her to stand there, that she might serve as a grim reminder of what befalls those who sin in my domain. But that was not enough, for the entire city was tainted by her sin, and the wager could no longer be won. So I had no choice but to wipe the slate clean. I gilded them all to make way for a new wave, and began the wager again. And to this day, each of them, and all who came after, line the halls of this city, inanimate but conscious, suspended in time with only their sight and hearing preserved, so they may bear witness to and lament the folly of your kind for eternity, the silent golden sentinels. I give your kind a second chance at life, as well as ample warning about my law. And when you disobey, and you always disobey, you force my hand, bringing terrible suffering upon yourselves. And so you ask if I am the one destroying your lives. And I say, no, you destroy yourselves. I am merely the means by which you do it. When my kin departed, they left behind many relics which I inherited. A consolation prize of sorts. The golden bow originally belonged to one of my kin, who the Romans called Diana. As my collection of golden statues grew, I chose the most ferocious among them, and equipped them each with a duplicate of her bow, and tasked them with hunting down the Forsaken at my behest. They became known simply as Furies. I've always considered that the cornerstone of morality is the ability to determine right from wrong on one's own. No attempt to lay out rules like your Code of Hammurabi or your 12 Tables of the Roman Republic can ever cover all possible scenarios. This should come as no surprise to you, since the core principle has been expressed in many forms by many of your civilizations. The Egyptians made a rudimentary attempt with do to the doer to make him do. The Greeks refined it with avoid doing what you would blame others for doing. The Roman Stoics added, treat your inferior as you would wish your superior to treat you. Even the so-called cultists hiding among you often say, do unto others as you would have them do unto you. It is the simplest of concepts, and each one of you is born with the faculties required to apply it to any situation. Yet none of the peoples who expressed this rule were able to uphold it. Curious, is it not? Enough. You clearly know nothing. I'm able to commune with all of the statues in the city. Their ears are my ears, and their eyes are my eyes. If she was still conscious, I suppose she could, but she's not. Why do you ask? Then what an odd question. Do you plan to speak in sweeping generalizations, or are you going to give me an example? Ah, yes, the debt bondsman. Taking one's own life is a self-directed act. It is not one that is done to others, however they may be affected by it. Therefore, it cannot be said that one who commits suicide has done anything unto others. Applying this rule always requires us to interpret the meaning of the words. A literal interpretation helps to minimize the ambiguities of your primitive language. Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold immediately. Is that what you want? Then your desire to be right outweighs your desire to survive. You will make a fine statue. Do you really think you can wound me, a god, with that primitive weapon? How dare you threaten her? This ends now. The many shall suffer for the sins of the one.
Wait, how do I... I have to go all the way back. That's really annoying, isn't it? What the fuck? Are you fucking serious? What the fuck? The entire thing is undone? That's some bullshit. I guess we're skipping through all this then.
As that is applying this rule always requires. Not if we're wise enough to know the mind of man.
Okay, this will.
Supposing you're right, then my law has been broken, and I should turn you all to gold. Now tell me. You speak of the money and ignoring your I see. And how long might it take such a... I fail to see how your system... Now tell me. Now tell...
Oh shit.
Do you honestly think you could do better? I should strike you down for that. Now, did you have any other questions before your reckoning? Very well. Good. Then now it is time for your reckoning. Only, it seems, something is wrong. It has long been within my power to see into the hearts of mortals and weigh their deeds in life. But when I peer into you, I see only a blank slate, as if you did not exist until you appeared in this city. How is this possible? Charon, where did you find this one?
I do not remember ferrying you. How did you come here? If that is true, then I sense the intervention of someone powerful.
How did you come to be in this time, mortal? Who brought you here?
He cannot know.
Impossible! No mortals possess such power. Not yet, but I will learn the truth. Enough of this. It seems I will need to put your reckoning on hold for now. But answer this. Why have you come here? What is it you seek?
Is peace that I seek.
Your hubris is amusing, so I will allow you to make your case. But I warn you, if you anger me or waste my time with lies or wrong-headed arguments, you face death here. So, tell me, why should I put an end to the so-called Golden Rule? That is a very serious accusation, mortal. What sin have I committed? What evidence do you have to support it?
Let's see. I'm not sure.
These people were all dead when my servant found them. I gave them a second chance at life. Would you prefer? Accordingly, I am well aware of the story told by the Greeks and Romans of my so-called abduction. It is entirely unfair. It was an act of rebellion against the others. Accordingly, I reject every one of them. They failed collectively, and so they were... But I'm a god, and let me ask you this. Do you treat insects as you wish to be treated? Do you care for their well-being as you would your fellow man? Do you ensure they have food and shelter and protection from predators? Do you give them rights? Of course. My love for her does not mean I am not superior, now that she is... Bah! For a moment, I thought you might have...
Alright, I think it's
How
this
so?
one. I'm looking at a guide right
Specific.
now.
You have made a grave allegation, and I expect you to back it up.
Okay.
True. I have witnessed him doing that. He is a volatile and confused fellow, that one. His cruelty does seem to grow greater by the day. Pathetic. You will need to do a lot better than that.
Wait,
That
what
is a
this?
very serious accusation, mortal. They... but let me... Do you...
Wait, so I
Of
did
course.
that. Oh, that's what.
Where to begin? Our lifespans exceed yours by thousands of years, in which time we accumulate vast wisdom and a mastery of technology you cannot begin to imagine. Because that is the source of our power over you. You could say that. My kin have no superiors. That is true. Go on. Make your point, mortal. Let me ponder that for a moment. If you are right, then it would follow that all this time I have been in the wrong. But no, the very thought of it grieves me. How can I accept your argument when doing so would make me a tyrant and a monster?
You're not a
Wait,
monster.
what? What are you saying? You have spoken eloquently, and yet, if what you say is true, it follows that my wager was fatally flawed from the beginning. But that would mean Jupiter, Proserpina's father, who knew more about you than anyone, proposed a wager I could never win. Why would he do that?
Oh, okay.
A mistake? But he is the best and greatest of us. Your words sting me, mortal. But perhaps it is what I deserve. As difficult as this is to admit, I have suspected as much for a long time now. And I cannot deny it any longer. I've been so fixated on taking my beloved to Elysium that every time one of you sinned, it wore away my hope of being with her again. In time, I began to despise your kind for making her believe that you could ever be better than you are. But my rage was not born of malice. Quite the opposite. Everything I have done, I did because I loved her. Who knew this empathy of yours, which you celebrate so much, could have such a dark underside? This has gone on too long. It is time for me to let go of this form, of her, of all of you. But know this. If I abandon the wager and leave for Elysium, neither she nor your kind may ever ascend. Very well. I will have Charon make arrangements to ferry the others. But as for you, be aware you will be separated from the rest. Once this exodus begins, the events that brought you to this moment will never have taken place, and you will have created a paradox. What will become of you is difficult to predict, but that is the risk you have taken by interfering in the natural flow of time. Now, are you ready? Farewell, mortal.
Still Alworth.
Oh. Hi there.
So I'm still debating on what game I should play
Thought I
next.
was
Should it be
in your
Resident Evil
lawn.
Village? Should it
I'm
be
Al.
Ratchet and Clank? Should it be Deathloop?
Well, here I am. I'm sorry, I didn't catch your name. Know who you are? I barely remember how I got here myself. Oh, did that lady in the forest send you in here after me? I guess I lost track of time. learning about the history of this place, and it is extraordinary. I'm fairly
gonna
certain you and
do-
I are the first people to set foot in this city
Maybe
for about
Ratchet?
2,000 years. Fortunately for us, the last person in here was a Roman man named Galerius, who inscribed an account into a tablet. Apparently, there was a community of 20-something people trapped in here, and living in fear of a curse they called the Golden Rule. They believed that if even one person sinned, an unknown god would cast them all into gold, like the 1,000 people who'd lived here before them. Then, one day, just as Galerius had finished praying for a good harvest at the shrine of Proserpina, an oracle appeared and went around solving the ills of the city, like saving the life of a dying woman, and so on. Then, the oracle walked up to the temple of the mysterious god, this one right here, and demanded an audience. And the doors just opened up to him. Nobody knows what went on in there, but Galerius wrote the oracle must have been more persuasive than Odysseus, because the next thing he knew, the ground shook and the voice of that god rang out over the city. The many have suffered long enough. Unfortunately, Galerius' account just sort of stops after that, leaving a lot of questions unanswered. What became of him and the other people who lived here? What happened to all the golden statues? And did this mysterious oracle single-handedly undo the curse that had terrorized people for hundreds of years? What? Oh, I see. For a moment there, I thought you were serious. Anyway, I think I found a way out through the aqueduct that brought water into the city. Follow me.
Okay.
I'm gonna pause here for a moment and make sure nobody else has ever lured into this temple.
This is the same.
You go on ahead. I'll be there soon.
You're back. But... what?
Ah, I see. I thought you might. Well, now you know. I suppose you have questions. You can just call me Charon, if you like. I am sorry I was not completely honest with you when we first met. I do not enjoy deceiving people. Believe me, I do not. But I have learned, from 5,000 years of experience, that most people find comfort in familiarity, in gradual change, and coming to see the truth in their own time. That you died, of course. You were dead when I brought you here. My role, as the servant of the god of the underworld, has always been to assist the chosen to cross the threshold from the land of the living to the land of... Most souls
same
would
stuff,
rather ask... As you, near you both, there was no... He died, that man, you were each in possession. There is... It means I am now bereft of purpose. There is nobody else to ferry here.
Bereft.
Nobody to keep you company. After 5,000 years, the underworld has finally run its course. I see no point in keeping you here. But I have to ask one thing. That you keep this to yourself.
Look! Here comes Al now. Al! It's so good to see you. You were gone so long I thought I'd never see you again.
Kinda lost track of time in there. You wouldn't believe what we found. The ruins of a long-forgotten city. And there was a tablet describing an oracle who confronted a god and undid an ancient curse.
Sounds like quite a story. And I look forward to hearing all about it. But... you two look exhausted. why don't you hop in my boat and rest while I ferry you back to civilization?
Sounds good to me.
And you? Are you ready to go home?
One year later. Okay. The fuck is this?
Hey, you made it.
Oh.
It's great to see you again. I read your book, and what the critics said about it. I guess they weren't ready for your theories about the underworld. Anyway, after everything you've been through, I thought you might appreciate some good news. So after we got back to the real world, I started doing some research into the people mentioned in Galerius' tablet, and I found something strange. I'm sorry I've been so cryptic. I've been dying to tell you, I just really wanted you to see this for yourself. Why don't you head on down there? I'll catch up with you at the other end.
Okay. Oh, these gonna be all the fucking people it is.
You're finally here. Remember me? It's a crazy story. After you disappeared, Charon appeared and told us she was returning us to the world. Even gave us some coins to help us start our lives over.
What?
Only, for some reason, she returned us to your world instead of ours. Anyway, I know we only ever had that one conversation, and I wasn't
So
even
this
sure
is
if you
what happened.
remember
That's
me,
fucking weird.
but I wanted to say thanks for freeing us from the underworld and... Oh, I used Charon's gift to buy a farm in Umbria. Got a villa on it too, with enough room for Dooley, of course. It's hard work, but I sleep soundly every night. I'm finally... I know! I can't believe my luck either. But we're engaged and living together. We're planning to get married next spring. If you're gonna be around... Of course, there's a whole museum full of people waiting for a chance to thank you. So...
Oh, hello.
What a weird thing.
You're here. It's... So, you're the hero who somehow vanquished the last of the... I'm just teasing. Actually, and it still feels a little... Galerius and I are engaged and expecting. We've just bought a lovely villa in the countryside with room for a large... It feels like the world has just opened up for... We're just so thankful for what... Oh, it's sweet of you to ask. She recovered nicely. See you...
What's this? Oh, this is Dooley.
Hello. I'm Dooley.
This is so weird.
Galerius said you're very nice. I live at Galerius. Treasure? Ah. Bye-bye.
What a weird fucking thing. This is...
You're... Oh, of course, sorry. And of course, getting me... Oh, I barely... I'm living in a house share in London. Eventually, I want to travel the world. Did you know there are entire continents Rome never... And you can travel almost anywhere in an aircraft, which... Oh, sorry, you already know all that, of course. I have noticed people from your time have no idea how fortunate they are. Last I heard, Malleolus kept insisting he was the last rightful ruler. As for Claudia, she was always so viciously unhappy after the horrific way they treated Ulpius and me. Thank you. Ugh, someone told me she was boasting about getting her claws into some rich prince. And even in your time, apparently he'd proposed before they'd even met. And last I heard, she'd bought herself a first-class... Nigeria? Some people have all... Really? Huh. I feel better. You too! If you're ever in London, let me know. We can go to bars and drink wine and... I hope.
Long time. Lucy is fine. I'm making an effort to blend. If the world knew we died 2,000 years ago and were suddenly brought back to life 12 months ago, they'd never leave us alone. Speaking of which, I wanted to say thank you in person. I'd say the gods smart. I'm studying to get into medical school. As much as when it ended, I realized I missed it. So I guess I'll... You two...
Hey.
The fuck is this?
Hi there, I'm Horatius.
Oh, Horatius.
I understand we have you to thank for giving us a second chance at life. I'm living up north and studying in the military academy. The world's changed a lot, but some things stay the same. Still, I have to keep challenging the ones who pioneered up.
Yeah, I don't care. Again, I'm kind of going through this a bit quick just because we're kind of running a long time here.
In the words of Epictetus, remind yourself. Thanks. He's not my... Oh, I see what you did. He had more trouble adapting. He got himself disqualified from the UFC. So he started some kind of supposed appeal to people's baser instincts. But his luck finally ran out. You're not wrong. And...
I take it you're the Oracle. Thanks for... Actually, I changed my name to Cynthia. I didn't want to be associated with Sentius. I'm not sure if you heard, but after you drove Pluto off, Proserpina emerged from the Great... She knew right away what none of us had figured out about that psychopath. He'd been keeping my little sister locked up in the upper cistern all that time. But he's been dealt with. He's... you know what? The important thing... Anything I want. I'm a woman of means in a vast new world. I can go wherever and do whatever I please. Of course, I mostly just stay in my villa and have my servant Alexa summon things for me, because it's just awful out there. Barbarians everywhere. He's still there, all alone. The last golden statue in the underworld. Eternal torment. Then I suppose he... You too.
Fuck, how many are there? Oh, damn. Okay. Gorgeous.
Greetings. You must be the... I am told we have you to thank... I am reacquainting myself with Greece. Perhaps one day, once I have seen all of this new Greece and some... I hope you will join me there and regain... Ah, the poor sweet thing. Perished in a shrine collapse before...
Oh. Oh, we didn't save her?
My friend, there is no need for you to apologize.
Forgot about that.
You...
So fuck that up. What is this?
I take it you're the Oracle everybody's talking.
Philosopher for God's
sake. I'm sorry. I never thought I'd leave that cave. And it seems I have your catabasis. I'm working as a consultant to the faculty of Clap. Not that I need the money, but I do love my...
Octavia.
You're here! It's so lovely to see you again. I'm thankful that you're here. I was sure the person who drove off the last pagan god would have more important things. But thank you for coming, and I'm living in Rome again, in a charming little flat by the Tiber. Not far from my old place. After we lost Ulpius, I spent a lot of time reflecting on...
Oh fuck, I couldn't save Ulpius either.
I couldn't shake the feeling that if I just found the right words. In the end, I decided to devote the rest of my...
Yeah, I fucked up. I should have...
Thank you.
Reset it before I did
means
it.
a lot.
But what are you gonna do?
And you. Wonderful.
Some soiree, innit?
Okay.
Oh, hello at last. You must be the Oracle. Listen, I wanted to express my sincere appreciation. Most... I took the money I made from selling my trinkets and started investing in... In fact, I was hoping to ask your advice. You being... I can't decide between fossil fuels, tobacco... Oh, don't be like that. You can tell your old pal... Oh, of course, yeah. I was just thinking the same thing. I'll go home and buy up as much stock as I can. Of course, that...
Oh my god, how many characters were there? What the fuck is it? So crash.
It is an honor to finally meet you, or you... Oh, of course. I too would like to offer my thanks for it. For a time, I returned to Alexandria, But instead, I have decided to. I spent the first 25 years of my life avoiding the 42 sins that would. Thank you.
We'll go her last. That seems like something that sounds right.
Good. For showing me how to treat my... I probably would have lost, although I think your people have a... Sorry, I live with Virgil in Rotterdam. Not
Oh,
far
they're
from
together
where you
now.
grew up. Have... You too.
It's so nice. I want... And for helping Rufus come to terms with himself. I'm studying to be an architect again, and living with... Of course, it's improved immensely. You natives of the 20... You too, as Rufus, if you ever...
Last one.
Hello there. Oh, I go by Gabriella now. I didn't want to be reminded of that monster every time I heard my own name. After you drove Pluto off, Proserpina came and released me, and that monster got what was coming to him. I'm living by myself on a little vineyard in Umbria. It's something Ulpius and I used to talk about doing when we got out, and I thought that's what he would have wanted. But it's been hard. I don't know what I'm doing, and it's just not the same without him. Mostly, it just reminds me he's gone. Oh, it's hardly your fault. I'll be... Thanks.
Okay.
There you are. I hope you enjoyed that. Now, there's one more person I wanted to introduce you to. I think you know her.
Persephone, I don't know what it is. No.
Sorry if I frightened you. Just a little joke I've been saving for a long,
That's like a radical
long
voice.
time. Allow me to introduce myself properly. I am Proserpina, former goddess of the cycle of life and renewal, and now a regular mortal. I wanted to meet you in person, and thank you for freeing all these people, and me. I hate to think what would have happened to us without your intervention. Indeed. Suffice it to say that while Pluto was controlling the eyes and ears of each gold, I was able to control their tongues and whisper to you when he was distracted. I am sorry my messages were so cryptic. There were only ever brief windows in which I could speak to you without I did. I may have given up my immortality, but I still, after witnessing Pluto punish countless poor souls over thousands of years, I knew this so I tried to give them a way to buy more time. So I whispered to Sentius in secret, telling him the prayer required to create a portal in my shrine. I knew the danger of humans being corrupted by godly power, and so I put a safeguard in place. I required the creator of the portal to sacrifice their own life, so that it could only be used selflessly to help others. What I did not anticipate is that Sentius would retain his accumulated memories from each previous day, and as a veteran soldier, he had long since shed his fear of death. He quickly discovered that he could, in effect, prolong his own life indefinitely by exploiting the cycle. Of course, once I had taught him
Should I make a video
I
on
could not unteach him,
Forgotten City or not?
and there was little I could do
kinda want
for
to at
someone
this
like you
point,
to come
but-
along and see him for what he was. We were all fortunate you came along when you did. I don't know what happened to him. I haven't heard from him, and I rather hope it stays that way. Oh, she inherited dominion over the underworld. Last time we spoke, she was working on a new world of some kind. She wouldn't say what it was, but I'd be surprised if you don't run into her again. I imagine we all will, one day. And you, although it feels like I've known you forever. Oh, and one last thing. Do you remember all those golden statues scattered throughout the city? Good, because they remember you. Well done, my friend. Of all the heroes who ever journeyed to the underworld and returned, none came close to achieving what you did. Hercules, Orpheus, Theseus, and Aeneas would be proud.
We're good at canon ending. There we go. We're done. So yeah, I mean, either tonight or tomorrow. Well, actually, I don't even know if I'll have time tomorrow. Anyway, at some point we'll start the next game. Not sure exactly what it'll be right now. But either way, again, really enjoyed my time with Forgotten City. To be honest, I think I might bump it up a little bit on my ranking. I don't know. Like, it's janky as fuck, but it is still really strong. But either way, we're running low on time, so again, I'll be back tonight, probably starting either Ratchet and Clank or Resident Evil. I'm not 100% on which one, but we'll see. But yeah, for now, thank you for watching.